What's up everyone, it's Jay and welcome to Daily Dose, a show where we talk about the hottest topics in K-pop, where today we're gonna find out what's going on with Star Empire Entertainment because messy. So on October 21st, Star Empire Entertainment revealed that leader Junyoung of ZEA will be going on hiatus and suspending all his social media activity. Now, if you guys haven't been following what was happening with him and ZEA, let me give you a little update. Basically, last month, Junyoung made headlines when he started releasing these series of really crazy tweets, basically exposing all the injustices that were going on in his company and threatening to expose more if things didn't change. And basically, everyone was like, oh snap, this is crazy. But they were all on his side and they were all for him exposing them. However, later he revealed that he actually spoke to his company's CEO and they all worked things out. They kind of gave ZEA some control, so things should be getting better within the company. So everyone was kind of like, okay, but what about all that stuff you were going to expose? It just got resolved in 2 seconds. But at the same time, they were happy because it was kind of scary when he first read those tweets because we didn't know what was going to happen. However, a little after that, he started back with the ominous tweets, hinting something was gonna go down on October 21st. So now we're here because October 21st, that's when it was revealed that he'd be suspending all his activities with ZEA. Now, that was just a really brief run through of everything that went down. I'll make sure to link you guys to articles and translations of his tweets down below, but all I can say basically is what I said in the beginning, messy. From trying to expose his company via tweets to all of a sudden him resolving it, to not resolving it, to this sudden announcement that he wasn't going to participate in ZEA activities anymore. It just screams like something underhand is going on here. Now, in my opinion, I think this whole thing was just like his company playing him. He threatened to expose the company, so they felt like they had to say something for him to be quiet. So probably when he spoke to the CEO said, oh, don't worry, we'll change things. And he believed it, so he told the public everything was fine. But I feel like once he told the public everything was fine, people started getting suspicious. Like 2 seconds ago, you said you were gonna expose your company. So somehow, in a matter of days, they were able to resolve everything. Like some people were indicating that he probably took money just so the company would shut him up. Kwangyi actually had to make a public statement saying that no, he didn't take money or anything of the sort. And then there's just evidence of, a false agreement reached by the fact that once again he went back on Twitter and started saying really ominous things about his company. But by that time, his credibility was already shot because he already did this before and nobody wanted to hear it anymore. Because last time he fell through on all the things he said he was going to reveal. So I feel like in the beginning, yes, he had an agenda and he really wanted to expose the company so they got better and they started treating their idols better. In my opinion, I think the company was kind of able to manipulate him into the point where nothing he was saying was credible, so he had nobody backing him up. Speaking of having nobody back him up, where were his members during this whole entire thing? I mean, yes, Kwangyi spoke out after he had resolved everything with the company, saying that no, he didn't accept money, but other than that, none of his members publicly backed him up during this whole thing, which is just terribly sad. Okay, yes, the way he was going about things was a bit wild, but if he was being mistreated, he was being mistreated, and that deserves to be heard. But none of his members made a statement saying, yes, this is true, or no, this isn't true. He kind of was just there to ride it out by his own. Because it just got me thinking, if a popular member like Siwon or Hyungchik, stood behind him, maybe the company would have actually took his threats and the grievances he made public serious, and maybe there would have been some kind of change. But on the other side, did all these bad things that were happening to him really affect the popular members? Because I definitely think there's a gap between other ZEA members and then Hyungchik and Siwon and Kwangyi, who we see on broadcasts on TV a lot. I don't know, it's just sad because you would think, even if the popular members didn't speak out, the unpopular members maybe would have spoke out because maybe they're going through the same grievances. I mean, as sad as this whole thing was, it was courageous for him to try to do something to make a change. Well, I basically think that this is probably the end of Junyoung. They're probably gonna suspend his activities until his contract expires and then let him go. But it was pretty admirable for him to try to fight for something he believes in. And hopefully, maybe after this, he can find happiness. Moving on to the K-pop 2014 album sale rankings. As 2014 comes to an end, we're kind of getting an idea of what albums sold the most this year. Once again, I'll link you guys to a detailed list down below, but for now, I'm just gonna give my general opinion of some of the things I saw on the list. Coming in at number 1 and number 2 was XOK and XOM, which is really impressive because they're still a fairly new group, but as you can see, they have a lot of fan support. Now, I'm always confused on the fact, I get that XOK does good in Korea, but XOM is always right behind, because I've always heard that while XOK is really popular in Korea, XOM alone is not that popular. So I was wondering who was buying their albums, and basically searching around the internet and led me to believe that Chinese fans actually purchase albums in Korea, so they count towards Korean sales. So it's basically, once again, the combined force between their Chinese fans and their Korean fans that enables EXO to like slay the charts like they do. So it also got me wondering, now that Luhan's gone, how will that affect sales? Because according to a lot of EXO fans, apparently Luhan's popularity is a big chunk of XOM's overall popularity, and now that he left, a lot of his fans will probably go with him. So will we still see this pattern where like XOK sells a lot and then XOM is right under them in Korea? Or will that kind of dissolve? Also, I'd like to point out how TVXQ, after 52 years of being together, they are still selling so well. Like, their fans are so dedicated, because not only were they up there once, they were on the list twice. And same thing kind of goes for Super Junior. They've been around for a long time, and a lot of people were questioning their relevancy because Mamacita didn't really do that well digitally, but clearly their fans still love them. They still have a lot of fans because they were pretty high up on the list. And also shout out to JYJ, literally. And I was thinking about this, and it was kind of sad because the only time JYJ and TVXQ can ever be together again is on the charts. But yay to JYJ, with not being able to promote on things like variety shows and music shows, they were still able to sell out. So once again, and I'm just going to collectively say Cassioppas are still supporting their boys, which is very admirable. Now, another thing I really want to mention is the fact that the only females on the list were SNSD. Ever since like SNSD like hit their 7th year, and you know, since the whole thing with Jessica, everyone's just saying this must be the downfall of SNSD. And I frequently see polls that ask things like who's going to be the next SNSD, who's going to take SNSD spot as the top girl group. And just looking at this chart makes me kind of think whoever is going to be the next SNSD or the next top girl group has a long way to go. Because even if you're not a fan of SNSD, you have to admit they've had a lot of accomplishments, and the fact that in physical sales and fan club size they can actually hang with these boy groups is super impressive. And at this time, there's no other girl group who's close to that. And this chart was kind of a reminder. So yes, there's probably going to be one day when SNSD is not as popular as they were before, but it doesn't mean a group's just going to come up and snatch their title. It's going to be a lot of hard work. Now, the number one thing that I noticed was the fact that the chart was basically made up of all SM groups, which makes sense because SM has like this really great way of marketing their idols where like you just want to become obsessed with them, and so they always have strong fan bases who will buy their physical albums. But at the same time, that's how you it's usually how you stir crazies. I mean, from my experience with K-pops, the worst sasang fan stories always come from the SM groups. So it's kind of like a trade-off because they get this awesome support and they're able to sell well physically like for a long time, but at the same time you have these crazy fans that think they own you. Finally, Choi Min-soo, he just came for all your acting idol faves, so you better watch out. During a press conference for his drama Pride and Prejudice, actor Choi Min-soo expressed his disdain for singers turned actors. He basically said he doesn't like the idea of people who are originally singers that go into acting. Now, this sentiment is not like weird or strange, like it's a common thing. Idols turned actors are usually like looked down upon because people see it as they didn't get the part because they were good at acting. They got the part because of the viewership that their fan base promises for whatever movie or drama they're going to be featured in. And this takes away from, you know, less known actors who are good but are getting passed over for roles because they're not popular. The only problem is one of his co-stars that were actually there at the press conference, Itaewon, is actually one of those singers turned actors he's talking about, technically. But no. Choi Min-soo didn't just like leave it up in the air and just not address that fact. He basically said it was a good thing that when he met Itaewon, like they met as actors. Basically, he wasn't first exposed to Itaewon as a singer. So he like sees him as an actor. So it's not awkward, but yeah, it's still awkward. Like, you couldn't wait till he got up and got some snacks before you dropped that bomb. Like, for real? This man is already in a group who spells surprise with a 5. He has suffered enough. Now the thing is, surprise, they're actually kind of like a reverse idol group in the fact that instead of starting as singers and becoming actors, they all actually started out as actors. So this doesn't necessarily apply to Lee Tae-hwan, but he's still like a singer, so it's still kind of weird. And now I even get the whole anti-idol acting thing, because sometimes like idols are so bad, it's ridiculous that they're able to be on screen, like it's crazy. L, hey bud, this is a word for you. This is a word for you. But at the same time, I feel like just the natural bashing of any idol going into acting is a bit premature, and you should at least wait to see if they're good or not. And even at the same time, you can't really blame the idols for just taking the opportunity that was given to them. Shouldn't you be coming at the casting directors who decided to cast them just because they'd bring popularity to their show? And even after that, if the idol's really, really bad at acting, then whoever produced the show has to suffer, because bad acting is gonna make for a bad show no matter how good the script is. But then at the same time, if I was an idol trying to get into acting, unless I knew I was like George Clooney level, I don't think I would accept main roles. But then again, some idols are pushed into doing these acting things, like for example Suzy when she was in Dream High. So it's really hard to pinpoint who's to blame with this whole idol acting situation, but hopefully idols who know they're bad try to get better if they know they're gonna get these main roles. And the Choi Min-soo, who just called out all idols, you got balls, man. You got balls. So if you have any comments on anything that I talked about today, make sure to tell me down below, and see you guys next time on Daily Dose.